Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Happy Monday, and thank you for connecting back here. My name is Adam Montiel. Appreciate you being Up+Adam. Coming up today's show, we'll talk about Pink Drink and the weekend in a second. I am so stoked. Today's show, a man who's probably been in your house and in your mind for decades, even if you likely never saw his face. Billy West, he's the voice behind Bugs Bunny. Doug Funnie, you know, the cartoon Doug. Well, he did Bugs Bunny in Space Jam. Ren and Stimpy, a small army of favorites from Futurama, including Fry, Dr. Zoidberg, Professor Farnsworth, Zapp Brannigan. Also, some of radio's wildest years inside the Howard Stern Show. He's got a brand new book, a memoir called Voice Versa. It's out now. It's not just about the voices that we knew or how to do them or the experience. I mean, the craft stuff is in there, but it's really about life, the damage, the humor, and the real human side of what had to exist before any of those characters ever could. I'm excited. Billy West is going to be Up+Adam in just a matter of minutes. Gosh, if you've been feeling it out there, it's like muggy. You're not imagining it. Forecasters saying heat, humidity, they are ramping up across the Central Coast this week. Some of the hottest, most dangerous conditions of the summer are expected midweek. Beaches are still going to get some relief because of that marine layer. But once you head away from the coast, and especially up the Cuesta Grade, it is a different story. Interior communities could see temps climb into the upper 90s, triple digits easy. And I swear to God, look at the calendar. Every single time the California Mid-State Fair starts, and it's starting Wednesday. And it's not just the air temperature. It's that higher humidity. It's making it harder for your body to cool itself down. That dew point is higher. Meteorologists are urging people stay hydrated, limit outdoor activities during the hottest part of the days, and never leave your kids, your pets, elderly neighbors in the car. Even your wine, I had a wine go on me in the trunk. I thought it was pretty safe. Come back, cork's like halfway pushed out. Like, damn it. Another one. Get to that AC. You're going to need it. You're going to need it this week. All right. How about little wrap up? Pink Drink. We made the news. Very exciting. We made the news.
The Central Coast poolside Pink Drink party returned to San Luis Obispo today.
Did she say, hold on, stop it. Did she say drink? It's clear. It's written on the Chiron correctly. It's clearly Pink Drink. She says drink.
The Central Coast poolside Pink Drink party.
Oh, I'm going to have to email them. We're going to have to ask for a formal
drink
correction.
Returned to San Luis Obispo today to help fundraise for the Woods Humane Society and the Elks National Foundation. The event took place at the San Luis Obispo Elks Lodge and brought together local beverage producers, food vendors, and live DJs for the pink-themed pool party.
Yes. We love pink. I love pink. I have a lot of pink in my closet, so I was finally able to pull it out and wear some. But yeah, it's good. It's a nice day for a pool party. It's awesome. We just showed up, so we're still kind of walking around, but the rosé is delicious.
Organizers of the event say the atmosphere is intentionally playful and high energy to show that a fundraiser doesn't have to feel like homework.
There you go. And at the end, I saw Joel Peterson and his wife Dagny there. Friends from Cromavera. Justin over there from KSBY did a great job on this, but there was one little nugget. Hold on.
The Central Coast poolside.
First of all, mind you, Justin, he did a great job on all the B-roll. He talked to a vendor who was pouring. I saw him getting some good audio from my friends at the Allegretto, Rosemary and Ronnie. He's talking to them. I was assured Allegretto was going to be on TV. He talked to Lady I Fancy, who runs the event with me, and secretary, it's the three of us, secretary from the lodge, Nancy, who was on the show last week. So he talks to two of the three organizers of the event, and he finds two beautiful women, and he puts them on television. What is going on, Justin? You talk to a vendor, you talk to the organizers, then you talk to this girl, and she talks about, what's the first thing she says? Oh, I like pink, and I love this girl. She helped judge the best dress. I think her name was Bettina.
Pool party.
Yeah. We love pink. I love pink. I have a lot
We
of pink
love pink. She's wearing black.
in my closet, so I was finally able to pull it out and wear
She does have a
some.
beautiful
But yeah,
low, I don't know,
it's
sarong, what do you call that?
It's a nice day for a pool party. It's awesome. We just showed up.
She's like, we just showed up. We just got here, so we don't really like. I'd be like, Justin, you have the organizers right there. You recorded with them. You have a vendor there. And you air these two beautiful ladies? I wonder if Justin just was a little bit, beauty struck by these two. So that might have been what happened.
So we're still kind of walking around, but the rosé is delicious.
Little B-roll of Letitia. Yeah.
Say the atmosphere.
Also, Lady I Fancy sabered a bottle of Letitia. That should have made television. That was prime TV. I'm not complaining. I'm so thankful that KSBY comes to this event, shows up. I'm so thankful about every single aspect of Pink Drink. I'm just given a hard time here. I could not be more thrilled. I love my KSBY people. In fact, Vivian Rennie, their meteorologist, was at the event once again. It was so great. So Pink Drink, what do we say? Pink Drink was just absolutely incredible. I'm trying to think. I mean, it was probably the more people. Hopefully we raised the most money than we have, in its 5th year now. But man, that pool party was hopping. The music, I'm see if I can find a video. I mean, that's just kind of walking through.
You got this, dude.
They have this like puppet thing. It's like this. They put a glass of beer in this little holder, and then you set it up on this these puppet strings, and you have to use the strings to advance.
A little more.
You have to use the strings to advance the beer to your mouth. It's incredibly. This guy was doing it. It's incredibly difficult. You end up spilling beer all over yourself, but it's really, really funny. So George from Central Coast Brew brought that back. That was literally hilarious. Let's see if we got some more just little nuggets here. What's going on with this? Oh, the mayor showed up. Then look over there. It's like the mayor talking to Supervisor Don Ortiz Leg. This thing was just a who's who. I mean, even Rebecca from Hotel Slow, they do their own pink event called Rosé the Slow Way. She came to celebrate, gave gift cards. It was just so much fun and so much great neighbor camaraderie. All the wineries and the folks that were pouring, they seemed to have a lot of fun. So I don't know. I just can't say thank you to everyone who went, who came, who won tickets, who bought tickets, who bought wine, who bought a raffle, who bid on the silent auction, who just came, had a drink, and swam your ass off and chilled. To all our vendors, the Elks Lodge themselves, to both the other folks who organized this, Nancy and Lady I Fancy. Also, there's several volunteers that, come under us as the event gets closer and really helped out. Rebecca, Madison, and a whole bunch of other, people that I can't even name. There's so many. So a lot of volunteers, lots of fun, all the industry that shows up to pour, and pink was everywhere. It's taken 4 or 5 years, but no, the message is out, and this event, people come dressed the F up. It is great. So much fun. Could not be more excited about Pink Drink. So I want to just give a little recap on the weekend and Pink Drank. Look, she says Pink Drink. Do it again.
Drink party.
Yeah.
Outside Pink Drink party.
We gotta hook a girl up with some drank. Maybe because first, all you gotta do is taste drank. Have some drank, and then you'll know it'll come right out your lips. Pink Drink. All right, before we get into our chat with the one and only Billy West, I want to thank our friends at the Mountain Air for being Up+Adam. These guys are great folks. They've been doing their thing since 1975, right there on Marsh Street, over 50 years. Now owned by Josh and Lindsay Herring, great neighbors, great couple, and great people. And considering, we got a big box store right around the hill, REI, when you go into the Mountain Air, you are seen, you are taken care of. It is not transactional. They do their thing. They make you feel welcome at home. You're not anonymous when you walk in there. Check out a couple doors down their store, The Switchback. Buy and sell your used gear. TheMountainair.com, also TheSwitchback.com. When you're in there, thank them. Please thank them for being Up+Adam. Not just keeping it local with who they serve, but keeping it local with the dollars that they earn. They're supporting new media, local broadcasting. I love my friends at the Mountain Air.
It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
First, you take your great-grandmother's dusty old Louis XIV vanity mirror. Next, you get your brother's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar autographed basketball. Then all you need is a hammer and some glue. And viola! A disco mirror ball. Honey Nut Cheerios may look little, but the taste is so big your eyes won't believe your mouth. Honey Nut Cheerios, little oh!
Big days.
Sitting around the Xmas stump and drinking dog nog ain't the same without Stimpy.
I am no weak sister. I, who survived overdone steak, I will survive this.
So these 3 parasitic worms bore into a human's head.
Oh, look out for that first step, Doc. It's a real Lulu.
Bugs Bunny.
You were expecting maybe the Easter Bunny? You're despicable if you don't put me on the air.
Next thing you know, I was on the radio.
All right, today's guest has spent just decades hiding in plain sound. Billy West is the voice behind Bugs Bunny in Space Jam, Doug, Ren and Stimpy, the whole crowd of Futurama favorites, and a lot more. He's got a brand new memoir, Voice of Ursa. Finding my voice behind the mic, he goes past the characters, way past the characters, into the life that created them with a story about trauma, about survival, about comedy, and the strange genius of turning pain into something that millions of people could love. Billy West. It's a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for being Up and Adam.
Hi.
I'm cranky and I need a nap.
I was so a big Howard Stern fan, so I remember you from Howard Stern too. So there's so many worlds that I love you, man.
What's Billy talking about, Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he never knew what I was talking about.
Right. So good. So good. So, look, and what I love about this book, it's not just like, how he did all the voices. This is how a child who struggled to find safety, trust, even his own place in this world, create voices that made millions of people feel at home. And early in the book, Billy, you write that you had to become your own best invention. You learned how to mentally leave frightening situations. Also began, absorbing sounds, faces, rhythms, and human behavior in extraordinary detail. Were the voices originally a way for Billy to disappear, or were they the first way that Billy West could actually appear and safely?
It was a combination of those things, but I was drawn to sonic performers. I listened to radio all the time. I used to, I used to hear the announcers, and this was, I'm talking about like the 1950s. So you had these guys, that were on the radio, and they had these big, huge voices, and I just was in awe of the whole time. Rock and roll was just being invented when I was a kid, and it was exciting. And that music that came from that time, and the people who presented it were exciting. They were the fast talking, this is Johnny Band and the Human Cannon saying what's in you's got to come out. That's what rock and roll is all about. Before we eat this slop, we got some friends here. Mr. Roy Orbison, 1961 on, and I used to say, who talks like this? I used to think it was kind of funny, yeah. But I could do it. But, it just, it was all part of trying to figure out what I could do. And I really never had any idea what was going to come out next, honestly.
In like a world where you struggled with instructions, school, reading, systems that seemed to measure intelligence in ways that maybe didn't match how your mind and heart worked, but you could hear microscopic details in a voice. You could store them, rearrange them, and turn them into something entirely new. So then radio, voiceover comes along, and suddenly that very brain that, made ordinary life difficult, it became extraordinary. Did show business for you, Billy, become the first institution that graded you in the language that your brain actually spoke?
I think it was more radio.
Yeah.
Because when I, and my world was a sonic world. So of course I was going to wind up playing music. When I got out of high school, I was in a band and I sang and I played guitar, and I was out working, playing for a living, made a living, and did that for years. And on stage, if we broke a string or an amplifier blew up, I used to just like start screwing around on a microphone, and whatever came out, came out. And people would be entertained by that, and I think they liked it better than the music sometimes. So around 1978, I lost my spandex license, and I got into radio. There was a radio contest one morning on WBCN, an FM station in Boston. And, you had to, they said, do you sound like Mel Blanc? And so I called in. My friend called me, said, call that station. They're looking for somebody to do voices. And my friend, who wound up to be my friend, the guy that answered the phone, I didn't know him, but I still know him to this very day. The guy that answered the phone was like, hi, BCN, you sound like Mel Blanc. And I was like, I get thrown off. I didn't expect somebody to pick up on me. He hung up on me. I said, I'm going to let him have it. And so when he went, hi, BCN, you sound like Mel Blanc. And I was like, what do you think? And he went, hold on, But that guy who answered the phone, I wound up working at the radio station, and I wound up working with him, a comedy guy. We used to sit in back of the station and at lunch, and he'd go, I said, Eddie, what must it be like to be the guy, the one that everybody points to as the standard by which all others will be judged? And he says, we'll never know. So 44 years later, that guy wound up to be one of the biggest comedy producers in television. He worked with Chuck Lorre, Eddie Gordetsky.
Wow.
And his name was all over every show.
Yeah.
And I called him up one day and I said, Eddie, one of us knows.
One of us finally found out. You joke in the book.
One of us found out.
You joke in the book about being the Susan Lucci of animation because the Emmy has somehow managed to elude you. That's such a great line. But awards, they sit on shelves. Your voices, they have lived inside people's hearts and childhoods for decades. What do you hope somebody feels when one of your voices finds them again years from now?
I hope that it makes them happy, because that's the real reason for doing it, is to get laughs and make people happy, because it came from this need to be happy, and I wasn't. And the next best thing was to make someone else laugh. If I could have been a frontline worker, somebody who saved lives, a doctor, or someone who cured diseases, I would have opted for that, believe me. But I think making people laugh is up there. It's very noble because it's healing. You can heal people, and I know because it healed me. My idols that I had as a kid had me just laughing, and then I'd have to go back to this miserable world after I experienced them, and I never wanted them to go away. They were my friends. They were like my family.
Yeah, in dark times, I feel like folks like us who lean so heavily into our sense of humor, I mean, it's just that bridge that keeps us sane, right? I mean, like, to be able to use your sense of humor, and sometimes it might be a little dark, but it saves us, right?
Yes, it does. I mean, I would break down and cry when I read the damn news every day. I feel so emotional sometimes, and so I can't get my mind around. When I can't get my mind around something, I try to just make a joke out of it, or just for self-preservation.
Yeah.
Like everybody's lamenting Lindsey Graham died, and I said they just arrested Jim Beam on suspicion of murder. That's
right.
That's the first thing that I would think of in any situation. It doesn't matter what it is. Well, yeah it would matter some atrocity situations, but I mean, everything else was, a way for me to. It was like a short circuit, like a fuse breaker, a circuit breaker.
Yeah, but even in that joke, I mean, some people are just like so like mean spirited, especially when we're talking about death, because to find humor threaded in these times, and even just that Lindsey Graham joke, like that was funny. Like whether you're this or that, this side, that side, like that's just funny. I love how like your mom loved Doug.
It's not a date. It's not a date. It's not a date. It's not a date.
Hey, Doug! Hurry or we'll miss the show.
Hey, Patty. She's dressed up. Okay, it's a date. 2, please. Thank you. Here's your...
1, please. Thank you. Come on, Doug, we'll be late.
But I... Okay, it's not a date.
Apparently, she had less considerable enthusiasm for Ren and Stimpy. But what was
she wouldn't let me watch it. Don't watch that.
Right. So good. Now, did you find, as you're finding your way through these voices, that it's like some are, when you ask like a person who does music, you ask like someone who's, like the guy from Journey or whatever, like, are there songs you get sick of singing? Were there voices you got sick of doing? Were there ones that were harder or more strenuous on your voice if you did an hour as Bugs Bunny or whatever it is?
There were some replicating characters. It was like I would do it for a living because I was a journeyman. And if someone said, "Oh, we're auditioning for Bugs Bunny," I would go up for it. I'd go up for Woody Woodpecker. I wound up doing that for 4 years for Fox Kids. But the hardest one I ever did was Popeye.
Really?
And I did it for Fox Television. It was called The Quest for Pappy, Popeye's Voyage, and it was CGI. It wasn't regular animation. A lot of purists didn't like it for that reason, but I went, all out trying to replicate that. And when I was a kid, we all used to do it, and it always sucked, because nobody really figured out how to do it. It was always like, "Hey, Olive," and it's like, "I'm Popeye."
Yeah.
It sucked. And then one day, my friend Tony Visconti, who produced David Bowie's best stuff, called me up and he said, "There's this movie you should see with me called Genghis Blues," and it was about Tuvan throat singers. And when I went to go see it, I was listening to them singing, and it was like, it almost sounded like country western until they opened their mouth. It was like, "Duck-a-dum, duck-a-dum," and it was like, yeah. And I said, "Jesus, it sounds like a woods full of Popeyes." And that's what clued me into the damn voice, was it's a high voice and a low voice at the same time.
Yoo-hoo, olive oil. I bring you some flowers.
And then, "Yoo-hoo, olive oil. I bring you some flowers." And then when you put them both together, "Yoo-hoo, olive oil." That kind of.
I would have guessed that Woody Woodpecker.
You still wants me to stitch like a baby.
I feel like you talk about things like Woody Woodpecker and stuff, like there was a lot of like the
yeah.
You got to really, like, I don't know if it's just a mouth thing or an air thing down here, but you got to channel some really incredible stuff.
But it was that particular voice was a sped up voice. She'd be like, "Guess who?"
Got it.
They sped it up.
Yes. The secrets. I love this. Let's talk about let's talk about a little bit of your time on the Howard Stern show. What were those? I mean, those were incredible. I feel like the Lucille Ball hospital bit is such a perfect early Stern story, right? You come on half awake, you're thinking too much, the bit dies, Howard hangs up, and then he calls you back. Most hosts would have just moved on. Howard somehow knew the funny was still, simmering in there. How did Howard hear you in that made him call back instead of just cutting his losses?
Because his gut reaction to it, the day before I was in his office and he was having his early lunch, late breakfast. And I said, "Lucille Ball is in the hospital dying, and they're showing the conveyor belt bonbon scene, and they're showing the grape stomping, and they're showing clips." I said, "They've got her buried already, for Christ's sakes." And I started doing my impression of old Lucy, like, why doesn't anyone speak English in here? And he started choking, laughing, and he said, "I'm going to call you tomorrow morning. You got to do that." And there's no big idea behind it except it was going to be Lucy in the hospital, and then it just exploded from there. But most bits did that we did. It started with just some stupid idea, silly idea, dark idea, whatever. And then you ran with it, and you could get an hour out of it.
I don't know if you still follow him and stuff, but I'm wondering, like, were those moments when you're in that room on the phone and whatever, was Howard's laugh the best drug in that building? And when you left, did you have to relearn how to know you were funny without hearing it or without somebody telling you, "Yeah, do that"? You write very plainly like you played to him in the book, right? And anybody who listened back then understands what that means. Howard's laugh could launch a bit and his silence could, drop the floor out.
Well, I knew what his real laugh sounded like. I sometimes he'd be totally disarmed by something that would come flying out of me. And that was that. Then I knew that I was doing something right, because I admired his sensibilities and his humor. And I thought he was amazing. And, for him to give me quite an entree like that, I just didn't want to let him down. I every time somebody pointed to me, I'd go off like a cannon.
Which character came to you almost fully formed?
In what regard?
I guess just a voice that came to you that was just almost so easy. Everything was made for it. Easy.
Well, when I auditioned for Futurama, there was only 2 characters that I was called to audition for, and they showed me pictures of the character. One of them was this old professor, 147-year-old professor, and and I looked at the physicality, and I looked at what he was about and read it, and I said, he's so old, he must fart dust. He's probably like shaking when he's talking, and I did that. I would physically shake. Who needs courage when you have a gun? And I auditioned for this character Zoidberg, who the most hellaciously funny thing about him is he was a doctor and he was poor. That killed me. I never saw a poor doctor ever.
Right.
But he was like, nobody loves Zoidberg. No one. They only care about the fry or the stupid robot. And those were the ones that I was supposed to do. And then they pulled out something that I was not prepared for, which was the main character of the show, Philip J. Fry. And I had to pull something out of my rear end fast, and I didn't know what to do. So I tried to sound like I sounded when I was 25 years old, which came a little easier to me, but I had to recall like how awkward I was. I'm still, plain vanilla voice, unvarnished and awkward, but I just remember, it was like I was always whiny and nasally and complainy. And then when I was playing in band, damn it, I broke a string. And the amp blew up. And that's the way I was, and that's what I did for the character, which worked out great because he's needy. He's all over the place, but his heart's in the right place. Yeah. And that's what Leela saw in him. They were a great match because she's so strong and decisive. And I kind of like women like that in real life.
That's how funny how that was parallel. Yeah, you did more than half the voices on that show, it seemed like. And then there was another one of my voice heroes, my radio heroes, a guy named Phil Hendry. I know he did that show a little bit, but I can only imagine you two in a room must have just been absolute gold.
I love that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I've loved him for years and years and years, and Matt Groening loved him and used to listen to him all the time. And
so good.
I think he might have been on The Simpsons once.
Oh, maybe.
I think Matt must have hired him, but he certainly hired him to come on Futurama a couple of times. And
genius. And the way he's interrupting himself with different voices, there's just nothing like it.
It's marvelous. It's such talent that it's frightening. It's staggering.
I love it.
And he has been around for a really long time.
We both started in radio. I want to end with where this whole story began. Give me kind of a clean Up and Adam liner, maybe in your voice, and then let one of the voices inside your head just kind of take over if you're down.
It's what?
Up and Adam.
Up and Adam?
Yeah.
That's the show?
That's the name of the show.
Oh, cool. All right, wait. Hello, testing 1 2 1 2. This conclude, and that is all. You were listening to Up and Adam.
Thank you, my man. I can't thank you enough for the time and this great conversation. Been a fan of you and admired your work for a long, long time. And we'll put the links to the show notes in this book. It's fantastic, Billy.
I'll do one in my own voice.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Billy West. From show business. No, they don't care about that. They care about the voices, though. And, you're listening to Up and Adam. You better, this is your one stop for this sort of thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Billy. Take care.
All right, man. Thanks.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
What a treat. He was such an interesting person to converse with, and I'm glad we have the cameras up. I'll try and find some stuff to repurpose for socials, but he would just stop talking and you would think the sentence is gone. He's just so interesting the way he uses his voice. I'm fascinated by him. I've been a fan of him for a long time. Thanks, Billy West, again for being Up and Adam. And in the show notes, you'll find all the links to Billy's social, his website, also the book, you can buy it through the publisher, the Amazon. I got all them links in the show notes. Cool. Yeah, getting more hot, getting more humid this week. Wednesday is probably going to be, it's funny, it's literally the day of the opening of the fair. It's probably going to be the hot one, temps well into triple digits in the North County, but even San Luis Obispo is going to be getting into the mid to upper 90s, and it is going to be humid along with it. Man, quick love to my friends at Benny's Pizza. There are pizza spots, and we got about almost 30 of them in San Luis Obispo, believe it or not. But then there are places that feel like Cheers, like where a story is unfolding. And that's exactly what you get at Benny's Pizza. We're talking the Detroit style, thick-ass pan, crispy, fired crust. Oh my God. The sauce on top or bottom, it doesn't matter because flavor isn't every bite. We love our friends at Benny's. Happy hour going off there, 4:30 to 6:30 Monday through Friday. 3.5 domestic cans, $2 off premium beer, wines. And don't sleep on that patio. Figuratively and literally. I mean, literally, yeah, don't sleep on the patio. They might kick you out for it. But it's such a great little spot. Don't forget that that's in back, right behind the bar. Beautiful patio, maybe a little corporate lunch thing. Speaking of lunch, you can get in and out of there like 35, 40 minutes. Maybe get a slice. You'll probably end up taking some back to the office. They're huge. Slice, a pizza, of course, salad, a Coke, in and out, boom. All right, check them out, Upper Monterey, 1601 Monterey Street, San Luis Obispo. Benny's Pizza. Call them up, order up, 439-3838, and thank them for being Up and Adam. Also, finally, don't forget slowfreeparking.com. Want to show some love to my friends at La Esquina, Mama's Meatball, Mistura. I created a website to let you and anyone in downtown know if you want to create free parking and validate. I made slowfreeparking.com so your business people can go right to it and see, oh, this business is hooking us up with downtown free parking. Yeah, and slow. So right now, this all started because La Esquina, Mama's Meatball, and Mistura were like, hey, we need to get the fact that we are validating. We need to get that word out there. Adam, help us. So we took we're telling you here, and we took a website out. We vibe coded that beast, and now we got slowfreeparking.com. So check it out and park for free and support some local businesses. All right. Want to thank our friends Moonshiner Collective for being Up and Adam. Original music on the show called Start Again. They're available wherever you get your music, stream it. Yep. And also moonshinercollective.com. Check out that website because they got tickets for their Under the Moon concert series. We're going to have Dan back on the show and promote that. I'm really excited about them, for him and the band. And it is such a beautiful time to just be looking at rolling hills, the sun setting, listening to music. It's perfect. Moonshinercollective.com for that. And this show recorded at Slow Cal Studios, baby, in the heart of San Luis Obispo County, California. Slow Cal, where the wine is world class, the people are real, and life is too beautiful to rush. For turns well taken, visit slowcal.com. That's SLOCAL.com. Well, enjoy the beginning of your week. Have a great Monday. Until tomorrow, I'm Adam Montiel. Thanks again for being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.
Hello, testing 1 2 1 2. That is all. You were listening to Up and Adam.